I was 28 when my family turned on me, and it started with a single Friday night phone call from my Aunt Linda. I still remember her opening line because it sounded rehearsed. "Sweetheart, I'm telling you this for your own good." That sentence would unravel my marriage, torch every childhood memory tied to Sunday potlucks, and push me into the most calculated revenge I've ever imagined. Linda was my mom's younger sister, 50, though she insisted on 40 and celebrated her birthdays with 30-plus candles. She owned a boutique real estate agency and approached every conversation like a listing appointment. Smile bright, questions probing, compliments strategic. Growing up, I admired her hustle. She paid for Emily's private school, drove a leased Range Rover, and never wore the same designer blouse twice on Facebook. The price, we later learned, was honesty. Emily, my cousin, is 2 years younger than me. We shared bunk beds during childhood sleepovers, choreographed routines to early 2000s pop, and cried together when Grandpa passed. Things shifted after my wedding to Mark. Suddenly, Emily hovered at the edge of conversations, her compliments staccato. "Love your dress. Gotta run." I assumed new adulthood drift. I was wrong. Mark and I had met in a college stats class. He lent me a pencil. I corrected his regression formula. Our chemistry was easy, laughter quick. We married at 24, a modest ceremony in Mom's backyard strung with fairy lights. Mark's only living family was an uncle in Arizona, so my clan absorbed him. Thanksgiving charades, Easter egg hunts, group texts of bad memes. He claimed he'd always wanted siblings and called Linda Auntie from day one. The family adored him. I did too. 4 years in, life felt stable, bordering on boring. Mortgage, meal prep, the occasional Netflix binge. That's why Linda's call hit like a hammer. She said she'd spotted Mark at a downtown bistro holding hands with some brunette. When I asked for a photo, she sighed. Acting wounded, I didn't trust her. I laughed it off on speaker with Tara, my best friend from college, because the idea felt absurd. Mark was in Dallas on a supply chain conference. The timeline didn't line up. Tara joked Linda needed new glasses. 2 days later, Mom called, voice trembling. "Honey, I heard Mark's cheating. Are you okay?" According to her, Linda told the whole family I was in denial. My sister sent a supportive but irritating meme about men being trash. My phone exploded with pity calls. Mark flew home that night into a living room tribunal. Mom, Dad, Aunt Linda on FaceTime, and 2 cousins perched like jury foremen. Mark stared, stunned, denying everything. I believed him. Tribunal adjourned without verdict. Tension remained. The next weeks were death by 1,000 rumors. Anonymous Instagram messages arrived. Blurry photos of a tall man hugging a brunette outside an airport bar, time-stamped during Mark's layover. The man resembled Mark, but the image was grainy. Mark insisted it wasn't him. I wanted to believe. Still, a seed of doubt was planted. Then Emily's public posts took a turn. Cryptic TikToks about fighting for the love you deserve. Captions like, "Sometimes Prince Charming is stuck in the wrong castle." Commenters flooded with heart emojis. My stomach twisted. Family chats excluded me. Cousins whispered about preparing for the divorce. Thanksgiving planning devolved into a vote. I was uninvited to keep tensions low. I understood I was being isolated. The night everything changed, I scrolled Facebook and found a new album titled Date Night on Emily's profile. Mark and I weren't tagged, but I recognized his leather jacket draped over the armrest opposite Emily at a wine bar 90 minutes away. Mark had told me he had to work late that evening, troubleshooting a warehouse inventory system. I took screenshots but didn't confront him. Instead, I called Tara. Tara is a forensic accountant who once traced $3 million of embezzled charity funds. To her, everything leaves a breadcrumb. She said, "Don't confront, collect. Gaslighting thrives on gaps." She told me software could sync Mark's old iPad, stuffed in a kitchen drawer, and mirror his iMessages to my laptop. We set it up while drinking matcha lattes. The absurdity of espionage in my suburban dining room, not lost on either of us. For 2 weeks, I watched live conversations. Most were mundane: football trash talk, grocery pickups. Then, at 2:14 a.m. on a Sunday, a thread popped with the contact Aunt L. My heart sprinted. "Linda, can't stop thinking about last night. You smell like cedar wood." "Mark, wish I was smelling your shampoo right now instead of this hotel pillow." "Linda, she's clueless. Keep it that way. After the holidays, we can be public." "Mark, working on it. Emily's on board to distract." I felt my temperature drop. My aunt and my husband. And Emily wasn't the other woman. She was the decoy. They were choreographing my humiliation so Linda could keep Mark in the family without total scandal. Mark divorces me. Heartbroken, Emily marries him. Aunt Linda stays intimately close. Diabolical. I took screenshots, saved backups to multiple cloud drives, and printed hard copies for a fireproof safe. I kept monitoring. The affair extended 9 months. Hotel invoices, flight confirmations for fake conferences, secret credit card charges. I learned Mark had taken Linda to a Caribbean resort client summit on the weekend of my grandma's memorial. He'd claimed work emergency. My reaction wasn't tears, it was cold math. They had engineered a narrative of my failure. I would rewrite the ending. First, I met a divorce lawyer, Ms. Patel, who believed in precision strikes. We drafted fault-based papers citing adultery, attached evidence, and filed but didn't serve. Timing was everything. She advised freezing joint accounts stealthily. I opened a new bank account and quietly redirected my paycheck. Second, I gathered allies. Tara, naturally. Also Uncle James, Linda's husband of 30 years, a quiet architect who treated drama like termites. Ignore too long and it eats the beams. I invited him to coffee, slid across a folder, and let him read. He turned pale, then green, then strangely calm. "Thank you for truth," he said, voice flat as drywall. He agreed to keep silent until my signal. Third, I needed public proof impossible to spin. Our family's beloved tradition is the pre-Christmas potluck, first Saturday of December, hosted alternately by Linda and Mom. This year, Linda's McMansion, rented nativity scene imported from Italy, the usual pageantry. Perfect. Tara and I exported every damning text into a clean PDF slideshow, each slide time-stamped and cross-referenced with corporate Amex receipts. She formatted like a true accountant. Tables, color-coded highlights. I added photos. Mark's hand on Linda's lower back entering a hotel elevator. A selfie of them in matching robes on a resort balcony, faces half hidden but wedding ring, and Linda's signature sapphire necklace unmistakable. Then we made pamphlets, 120 copies, glossy finish, title in festive red. A holiday story of love, lies, and receipts. Inside, the affair timeline, critical screenshots, a QR code linking to a Dropbox of full evidence. The print shop clerk asked if it was viral marketing. I said, something like that. On potluck day, I baked my famous bourbon pecan pie, loaded pamphlets into a tote under the pie carrier, dressed in a green velvet jumpsuit that made me feel like tactical Christmas. I arrived early to help set up. Emily greeted me with a hug that felt like a boa constrictor. She whispered, "I know this is hard, but you'll be happier when the truth is out." Her smugness energized me. Linda floated in wearing a red sheath dress, diamond earrings winking, air-kissing guests. Mark arrived separately, claiming delayed flight. Uncle James wandered with a polite smile that never reached his eyes. At 5 p.m., the house was packed. 34 relatives, children darting between legs, Sinatra playing through smart speakers. I synced my phone to Linda's 60-inch smart TV, a few taps on the Samsung app, no password needed once on Wi-Fi. Then I waited. Linda clinked her wine glass. "Family, let's start White Elephant." Applause. I stepped forward. "Before gifts, I have something for everyone." Remote in hand, I pressed play. The first slide filled the screen. Mark's hand on Linda's back. Gasps. Slide 2. A chat excerpt of Linda coaching Mark to plant cheating rumors about me. Slide 3. Resort invoice with both their names. Children were herded from the room as more explicit texts appeared. Mark sputtered denial, but Uncle James spoke. "I verified those credit card charges myself." Emily's face transformed from triumph to horror. Apparently, she was as deceived as I'd been. Linda lunged for the remote. Tara, standing behind her, intercepted and raised the pamphlets like a dealer at a casino, tossing copies across furniture. Pages fluttered like angry confetti. Aunt Lisa shrieked, "Linda, tell me this isn't true!" Mom sobbed. Dad looked murderous. Mark tried again. "It's not what it looks like." Uncle James punched him, square jaw to fist. Mark toppled over the coffee table, shattering Linda's imported porcelain nativity scene. The irony was delicious. I walked outside into crisp December air, the uproar muffled behind closed doors, and texted Miss Patel our agreed code word, "Showtime." She scheduled service for Monday morning at Mark's office, ensuring maximum humiliation before the regional director who despised scandal. Phase 2 unfolded like clockwork. Mark's company reviewed the forwarded screenshots and expense receipts I'd anonymously sent HR. They fired him for ethics violations within the week. Linda's real estate board received a packet outlining client fund misuse, signed contract copies showing she'd funneled staging fees into personal accounts shared with Mark, license suspended pending investigation. Uncle James filed for divorce and froze shared assets. Linda's bank cards declined within 48 hours. Emily, shattered, moved back home and deleted half her social media. She messaged me once, "Did you know all along?" I wrote back, "Long enough. We haven't spoken since." Mom apologized through tears, begging forgiveness for doubting me. I thanked her for the apology but explained that trust, once frayed, doesn't knit back overnight. We maintain polite distance. Boundaries are my new inheritance. The divorce proceedings were mercifully swift thanks to evidence. I kept the house, purchased partially with inheritance from Grandma, which Mark had tried to persuade me to refinance under his name. Judge awarded me half his vested stock options, a lump sum he had to liquidate at a loss. He now rents a studio downtown and drives a 12-year-old Civic after the Range Rover was repossessed. People ask whether I feel guilty about collateral damage. Cousins forced to pick holiday sides. Emily's heartbreak. The family group chat splintering into blue and green factions like some bizarre Cold War. I don't. I didn't start the fire. I just rerouted the ventilation so the flames followed the arsonists home. 6 months later, settlement money in hand, I booked a solo trip to Kyoto, somewhere Mark always deemed financially irresponsible. I hiked the Torii Gate path at Fushimi Inari before dawn, each gate a new doorway out of my old life. At the summit, I left a folded pamphlet at the Fox Shrine out of pure mischief. Maybe some Australian tourist read it and gasped. The mental image makes me smile. Back home, I renovated the kitchen Mark hated because it didn't optimize workflow. I knocked down a wall, added a breakfast nook with a yellow bench just because color makes me happy. I adopted a rescue dog named Pixel who drools on the velvet couch. The house feels like mine now. No ghost footprints. Last month, Tara sent me a link. Linda had opened a GoFundMe titled Rebuilding After Betrayal, claiming she was a survivor of familial abuse and financial sabotage. Donations sat stagnant at $75, all from distant colleagues clearly unaware of context. The comment section, "We stand with you, Queen." I laughed so hard Pixel barked. Mark tried one last olive branch, a 6-page handwritten letter where he blamed Linda's allure, claimed he was hypnotized by an older woman's confidence, and that he missed my laugh. He asked for coffee to find closure. I shredded the letter, stuffed the confetti into the envelope that once held our marriage certificate, and mailed it back. Closure delivered. Some readers will wonder how I kept my cool long enough to orchestrate everything. The truth is, staying busy kept me from falling apart. I built a spreadsheet the night I discovered the affair, a living document titled Project Icarus, because I planned to melt their wax wings. Columns included evidence collected, potential witnesses, financial leverage, and morbidly, likely excuses. I filled rows methodically. Screenshots, hotel invoices, joint account statements showing Linda reimbursing Mark for client dinners. I also scheduled weekly sessions with Dr. Moretti, a therapist who specializes in betrayal trauma. She didn't push forgiveness. Instead, she helped me recognize gaslighting patterns and taught grounding techniques so my voice wouldn't shake when the time came. Therapy became mission support. Every spy needs a handler. Financially, I discovered Mark had siphoned almost $8,000 from our emergency fund in micro-withdrawals $40 to $90 at a time, labeling them lunch or parking. Tara traced them to boutique hotel room service. Ms. Patel added misappropriation to the divorce complaint, strengthening my claim to our primary residence. She advised pulling a full credit report so Mark couldn't secretly open new cards. He'd tried, but my fraud alert blocked them. Meanwhile, Uncle James began quietly relocating valuables from the shared home safe. His late mother's heirloom brooch, original blueprints of a historic courthouse he'd designed, even the vintage vinyl Linda bragged about on social media. He texted me a photo of the empty safe with the caption, "Insurance." I responded with a laughing emoji. Humor bonded us. One hurdle was ensuring evidence remained admissible. I consulted an IT attorney who confirmed that in my state, monitoring a spouse's messages on a device they knowingly left activated is legal. Recording devices placed in shared spaces were also allowed, so I installed a discrete audio recorder in the garage where Mark took private calls. I captured him coaching Linda through a script to convince Emily that appearing interested in him would make me jealous and push me to file first. That audio clip broke any lingering sympathy I had. For the pamphlets, we debated tone, sensational tabloid or dry legalese. We chose a middle path, concise but undeniable. Each print included a QR code leading to a Google Drive read-only folder. I enabled view-only links and set notifications for new access. Within 2 hours of the potluck explosion, 62 new viewers appeared, including area codes I didn't recognize. Word travels fast when drama is rich. Phase 3, post-divorce, focused on fortifying my future. I updated beneficiaries on life insurance, rewrote my will, and finally launched the digital marketing side hustle Mark had talked me out of because algorithms change too fast. In 3 months, I replaced my corporate salary. Freedom tastes like recurring revenue. When Mark's lawyer attempted to negotiate, suggesting I shoulder half of his tax penalties from the stock option cash-out, Ms. Patel slid a folder across the table containing his sworn affidavit that he alone decided the liquidation. Settlement talks ended within 23 minutes. Law, like revenge, rewards preparation. I'd worried about losing the broader family, but the schism followed moral lines. Cousin Leah sent flowers and a card reading, "Proud of your spine." My younger brother shipped me noise-canceling headphones and wrote, "For when relatives start yapping." Even Grandma's sister, 87 and legally blind, called to say she heard Linda went full Jezebel and that I was always her favorite. Support arrives in odd packages. The only person I regret hurting is Emily, because her betrayal was collateral, not intentional. She was a pawn in a chess game her mother and my husband played. I sent her a single message after the potluck. "None of this was your fault. Heal at your own pace." She responded with a heart emoji and silence. Sometimes that's all closure offers. A month before the Kyoto trip, I stood in my empty garage and recognized the echo. It had always been Mark's domain, tool racks perfectly measured. I sold his equipment on Facebook Marketplace to a father teaching his teenage daughter woodworking. Watching them load the truck felt symbolic. I let go of dead weight. Someone else built new memories. I also answered a final phone call from Dad. He said he'd spent nights replaying every conversation where he doubted me and felt shame. I told him shame is like wet cement. It only hardens if you stand still. He's been calling weekly since, and I accept, but I don't overshare. Trust is earned in teaspoons, not buckets. If you're curious, yes, I briefly dated. Casual coffees, museum strolls, nothing serious. One date Googled me beforehand and asked, eyes wide, if the pamphlet story was real. I said yes. He said that was intense, and we split the check. I'm okay with my reputation scaring off the timid. I'm saving space for someone unafraid of a woman who refuses to be played. There's also the matter of the IRS tip line. Linda had omitted rental property income for years. A concerned citizen submitted documents. I can't confirm outcomes, privacy laws, but rumor says she now sets aside half her diminished commissions for back taxes. Actions meet consequences. Therapy, spreadsheets, and bonsai trees kept me steady through the legal grind. Bonsai demands patience and precise cuts, the perfect metaphor. I'd sit on my renovated porch, pruning tiny branches while listening to court transcripts about asset division. Growth through controlled trimming. The night my divorce decree arrived, I hosted a celebratory dinner with Tara and Uncle James. We ate takeout sushi on patio furniture because I'd sold the dining set Mark chose. I raised a glass of sparkling cider and toasted to truth, receipts, and the audacity of people who think they won't get caught. Laughter echoed into the warm dusk. A year has passed since the potluck. Linda's license remains suspended. Her appeal keeps stalling because James cooperates fully with investigators. Mark sells insurance now. He cold calls former colleagues who saved his number under Do Not Answer. Mom and I built a tentative bridge. She asks permission before bringing up family gossip, and I set time limits. Boundaries work when enforced. Pixel sleeps at my feet as I type this. The house is quiet except for his soft snores and the distant hum of the dishwasher. Sometimes, late at night, I replay the security footage of the potluck meltdown saved on a thumb drive labeled Closure. Not for gloating, Well, maybe a little, but to remind myself why I'll never accept half-truths again. Revenge didn't make me bitter. It made me fluent in self-respect. If that scares potential friends or lovers, so be it. I spent too long shrinking to fit a narrative someone else wrote. Now I write my own, footnotes included. And in case you're worrying, the pamphlets were printed on recycled paper. Karma and eco-friendly practices can coexist.